Hi everyone, it's Tanya here, and today we're going to be looking at another question that was posed to me just recently, very much again linked to the environment we find ourselves in at the moment and the questions that are front of mind for people. Now this specific one is rather close to home because I'm going to be sharing a question that came to me from someone really close to me who's just had to postpone their wedding. And they were intended to get married in May, and of course, as you can imagine, huge excitement, the big build up to the day, all the planning that's gone into it, family, friends, everyone being together for this joyous occasion. And now having to face the sad reality that with everything going on, the best alternative is to cancel the wedding date. So the question this person asked me is, how do I deal with this disappointment? I'm just feeling so incredibly sad. And what she shared with me is that she knows that in the bigger scheme of things, if you consider what's happening, people are losing their lives, people are losing their incomes. This is a postponement, but yet she was really feeling that the weight of the world was on her shoulders because of this sense of loss. And here's what I would say. As much as she's feeling disappointed in terms of a personal experience, another client of mine phoned me 2 days ago, and he's involved with a company that does sponsorship and branding and events for big corporates. And they've been working on a very specific sporting event for the past 9 months. So a team of 25 people dedicated year after year to making this event better and bigger year on year, and 9 months of dedicated work, as he says, down the drain. And he's a leader and manager who now has to deal with a whole team of people who feel, what was it all for? That all that effort. And as he said to me, he's seldomly seen people so demoralized. And when we unpacked it, we realized again, it's a feeling of loss and sadness that sits underneath all of that. So when things change, one of the things that makes change hard for us is when we lose things in the process. We spoke earlier on about sometimes change is actually something we look forward to, and that's usually when we're gaining something as a result of the change. But what about when we're losing things? Opportunities, connections, moments to celebrate, get together with people, and just to celebrate successful events. My advice would be as follows, is first of all to really allow yourself to feel that loss. So many of us are conditioned in today's world of, sort of pick yourself up, dust yourself off and just carry on. And in that, we're often not allowed to actually just be human and to acknowledge that we've spent time, we've spent effort, we've built up this image of what's going to be in our minds. And when we get told that it has to be cancelled, or we make the decision to cancel something, or something is no longer possible, like a trip overseas, or even a family occasion to get together to celebrate a birthday, we feel loss. And with loss comes sadness. And as a human being, unless you're totally devoid of emotions, you're going to feel something. I have a real belief that if we can feel it, we can heal it. But just putting a plaster over it and pretending that it doesn't matter because you sort of have to have a chin up and just be strong and count your blessings type of attitude, although those things are valuable, having that mindset with first allowing yourself to be human and feel the feelings, I think is sort of like skipping a step. I'm also a big believer in allowing yourself to have a self-pity party. Now, I say that within a specific context. Please, I realize that we live in a country and also in a world where there is huge human suffering and real challenges to deal with. And maybe the fact that you can no longer go on your overseas trip doesn't compare with another form of loss, such as not being able to send your child to school, or losing someone that you really care about. And I'll definitely speak about those instances later. What I'm talking about here is just the day-to-day disappointments that we have to deal with. And allowing yourself to have what I call a self-pity party, which is a moment of time, a limited amount of time, by the way, where you give yourself 10 minutes or half an hour, or even a morning if that's what you require, to really allow yourself to have the feelings of being down, to feel sad about it, to feel sorry for yourself. That's okay. Now, as with any party, it needs to have a beginning and an end. What we don't want to do is get into that place where we sort of dwell in a swamp of misery and consistently just feeling sorry for ourselves. But we should allow ourselves a moment in time to feel what we're feeling. So a specific self-pity party, give it a time, put it in your diary. If you've got a good friend that can sort of be there for you in some way or the other, by all means do that. But then when it comes to that end of that dedicated time, then comes the time to actually say, all right, what other strategies can I use now? And I'm going to share a few with you. One that always helps is then to go back to count your blessings. And we know from the research done in positive psychology that when we focus on what we have as opposed to what we lack, when we focus on the things that we have in life that still matter to us, that hold meaning, the people, the places, the experiences, having access to running water, being able to read a book, small little pleasures. When we step into gratitude, our mindset shifts. Secondly, and I alluded to this earlier, get perspective. As heartbreaking as it might be to have to postpone a wedding, or to have to defer the celebration of a birthday, or to even postpone a trip overseas, when we think of perspective and we think of the life that people live where it's actually really fundamental losses that they suffer, right? So losing your health, losing your home, losing someone that you love, losing hope, those are really far more devastating than something that can be deferred or postponed. So sometimes just having that perspective can help us actually lift ourselves up and carry on again. Something else that I recommend is writing one or two people an email or even a WhatsApp message expressing sincere gratitude for the role that they've played in your life. It's quite interesting that when we shift our focus from ourselves to other people, it's almost like it energizes us, and you don't know, that person might actually be going through a moment where they really need to be reminded of the fact that they matter and that they're special. So there's something about reaching out. In the same vein, I would suggest doing any act of random kindness, and that can be donating something. I know that at the moment there's a huge demand for places that contribute to society. So it could be an orphanage, it could be a dog or cat shelter, it could be an old age home, where they're in need for people who can assist and support with things. Nothing like remembering that other people are worse off to remind us of our own good fortune. Lastly, a tip that I've used, and it's worked well for me as well as clients of mine, is to write a letter. And in this letter you can express all your feelings freely without any fear of judgment. You can state your disappointment, you can share your concerns, you can even cry out with, saying life's not fair and why me and why this and why now. Get it out of your head and onto paper, and you can burn that paper afterwards, but have some ritual that allows you to have closure. In the case of my client that had a team that feels disappointed, I would recommend that that team gets together in person or virtually, and that every single person has the opportunity to express their feelings, and that they also have some kind of a ritual or something that they can do to actually process everything that's happened and to have a true sense of closure. Often it's not just the lack or the loss that we've suffered, but it's the fact that we haven't been able to process it and allow ourselves to get to the end of something through closure that keeps it lingering. If you have suffered loss, if you have been disappointed, I just want to say that I think of you. Reach out to someone that can be there for you. If you want to, feel free to share your experiences in the comments below. And yeah, let's remember to be clear, be kind to ourselves and others, and at the end of the day, to remember what matters most. Thank you.